Hi, last Sunday I chose as my Sunday night movie Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, currently streaming on Disney Plus in the UK, Hulu elsewhere, I expect. It's loosely adapted from the 1990s animated TV series, based on the characters of Chip and Dale, the mischievous chipmunks who had their own series of cartoon shorts in the middle of the last century, frequently annoying Donald Duck. They were reinvented as adventurer characters, Chip being the clever, resourceful one, Dale being the humorous one. They dress like Indiana Jones and Magnum PI. They have various adventures with their characters. The film, however, posits that that was a TV show, that Chip and Dale were at school together, good friends. They finally broke into Hollywood with their hit show. However, now, 20 years later, they're very much past it. But there are crimes going on, and they get involved and wind up having to adopt the persona that they played on television in order to solve the mystery and get involved in all kinds of exciting shenanigans. It's it owes an enormous debt. I mean, enormous to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The concept of the film is that cartoon characters exist in the real world. It's never really commented upon as being strange. And Chip and Dale went to a normal human school with lots of sight gags over the difference in size. They had their own separate lunch table, which was the size of that. Um, and we have cameos by many cartoon characters. Roger Rabbit himself makes a brief appearance. There are many references to what other characters have been doing. Apparently, Jack Skellington is running a fraudulent pyramid scheme in timeshares. Um, there are many other references. None of them spring to mind because I saw this film a little while ago. Um, and the villain is revealed to be, I'll be circumspect around spoilers, a dissolute version of a classic cartoon character, but one that they managed to, I think, get away with insulting and possibly damaging the memory and depriving the original rights holder of income. It's largely very entertaining, but one wonders who this movie is supposed to be aimed at. I think it's a bit too sophisticated for children, who one would think would be the target audience for a Chip and Dale movie. But again, it's because it's based in um, cartoons. It's not necessarily something particularly children's cartoons. It's not necessarily something that would appeal to adults. It doesn't have the level of complexity, I think, in the same way that Who Framed Roger Rabbit did, in that film basically borrowed the plot of an unused Chinatown sequel. It is very entertaining. The voice work I thought was very strong. They decided that Chip and Dale, rather than the high squeaky voices that they had before in the real world, actually have normal speaking voices and are played by John Mulaney and Andy Samberg. It's only when they are playing their characters that get overexcited that their voices jump up 6 octaves. And there is strong voice performances across the board. There are strong live action performances. There's one character I particularly liked was a version of Gumby, the plasticine character, like an American version of Morph, who takes fingerprints by just pressing his hand onto a surface and then slicing it off because he's made of plasticine. So obviously it doesn't matter; he can just glue it back on later. Um, it's enjoyable. It's quite lightweight. The animation I thought was extremely good. The interaction between live action and animation is extremely well done. It's not the same virtuoso standard as Roger Rabbit, where it's set a permanent benchmark, but the work here is of a very good standard. Overall, I would recommend it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for children. It's maybe a family film rather than a children's film. But again, it's not really a film for adults. It's a mixed audience film. It's not bad. I found it entertaining. It's generally quite funny. Um, but ultimately, it's not great, and it could have been.